What's happening, everyone? How are you? My name is Max. Today we are checking out some more BTS. We've got a fun one lined up for today, I think. BTS Festa 2014. Now, I've reacted to Festas 2018 through 2022. So we're throwing it back here. I look forward to this. Thank you so much for being here. I've got my Yoongi shirt on. I'm ready to go. And guys, if you want to watch my uncut reaction and analysis, you can go straight to my Patreon page. I've included the link in my description below. All my uncut and exclusive BTS reactions are on my Patreon page, so if you're interested in checking out more, you can always head over there. Thank you. Let's get into this. Hobie's always been a magnet for the camera, hasn't he? He's just a performer through and through. I'm feeling the energy. Love, love, love the energy from the boys. I'm feeling it. You guys feeling it? It's magnetic. Yeah, this is just fun to see. Look how young they are. And JK was like, what was he, 15 here? 16?
BHC 라디오 BTS FM 06.13의 DJ를 맡은 슈가입니다. 오늘의 주인공 진짜 주인공 방탄소년단 여러분들 모였습니다. 방탄 여러분들 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. 방탄소년단입니다. 여러분 안녕하세요. 인사가 강렬한데요.
안녕하세요.
희망이에요. 희망이라고요. 굉장히 강렬한데요. 쿨FM이 벌써 3회를 맞이하게
뭐였다고 3회?
날이면 날마다.
It's actually amazing how much Hobie loves the camera. You can tell how much he loves the camera and how comfortable he is in front of the camera, even at their young age here. You know, I think he just like naturally took to the camera. And so he's just got this sort of like performer element ingrained in him. But I've said this before, J-Hope doesn't really have to say anything for him to stand out and be charismatic, right? And he's not the loudest guy in BTS. He's probably actually one of the quieter guys and definitely one of the more private guys in my opinion. But it's his facial expressions, it's his presence, it's the way he carries himself that's captivating. And he doesn't shy away from the spotlight, right? He embraces it.
오늘은 도대체 무슨 날이길래 세 번째 방송을 하는 건가요, 랩몬스터 씨?
정말 감동의 날이 아닐 수 없습니다. 바로바로 6월 13일 오늘 방탄소년단의 1주년 생일 돌잔치죠.
그래서 준비한 생일 케이크!
Congratulations! Congratulations!
Yeah, the boys feel very loose here. They feel very light, very loose. They're just a goofy, kind of fun energy. They seem excited. They seem like they're just, you know, happy and grateful to be in the position that they're in. I think that theme of gratitude has sort of persisted throughout their entire career. They just seem happy to be where they are. I'm just sensing a real lightness, and I think that speaks to, obviously, their bond and their relationship. It's like every time these guys get together, it's so clear they love being around each other. And in my mind, this is really what helped propel them to get over their obstacles and hurdles. If you love being around the people that you work with, you're much more likely to be motivated, right? It just helps you get through those challenging times.
훈훈한 한마디씩 하는 거. 아니, 이런 시간을 가져.
이걸 초반부터 해야 되나요?
어떻게 하는지 제가 몸을 보여드릴게요. 일단 이렇게
힙합하겠대.
손을 이렇게 잡고 눈을 그윽하게 바라보면서 한마디 해줘야 돼요.
뭐라고 하실 거예요?
그대 못생겼어요.
근데 못생겼어요.
그대 못생겼어요.
네.
와.
네, 이런 규칙이 있습니다, 여러분들.
괜찮네.
네, 여러분들 옆에 계신 분들한테 한마디씩 한번 하는 그런.
Yeah, I mean, we see Suga's leadership skills here. You know, his leadership skills were obvious from the beginning. It's the way he's sort of dictating the pace of this conversation. Like, there's no shyness around him. Yeah, sometimes he can be a little bit more quiet and seeming to be reserved, but he's the type of guy that's not going to speak unless he has something to say. And when he has something to say, he has no problem and no hesitation in vocalizing and articulating himself. I actually think he's probably the most outspoken BTS member.
한 번 더. 그럼 제대로 한번 해주세요.
정말 참 잘생겼다.
아니
오그라들어.
네, 이런 거 잠깐. 그래.
야!
네, 자, 이런 되게 해보니까 되게 오글거리네요.
그러니까
그런 거 치고 이럴 줄 알고 따로 준비한 게 있죠 저희들이.
또
며칠 전 서로 전하고 싶었다.
Yeah, see, that's the thing about Sugar. Like, he doesn't pretend. That's what I was trying to articulate earlier. He doesn't pretend. If he likes something, he'll vocalize it. If he doesn't like something, he'll vocalize that too.
되게 해보니까 되게 오글거리네요.
Right? He's not afraid to vocalize what he doesn't like.
소소하고 되게 뻔하네요.
Sugar's especially not afraid to express himself, and the guys sense that. So I think that's part of why Sugar commands so much respect from the team. And yeah, obviously I'm wearing my Yoongi shirt, and maybe I'm Yoongi biased. Maybe, but that's what I see. That's how I see it. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think.
보시면 안 될까요?
아니 우리랑 같이
강렬한 남자네.
말하기가 되게 힘들었어요.
우리랑 같이 24시간 있으면서 언제 갔다 왔어?
멋있다. 아 잠깐만. 이 프로 라디오 프로를 위해서 헌신할 줄 아는 DJ네.
저는 형이라서.
잠시만요. 아까부터 그거 만지던데 뭐예요 대체?
뭐예요?
이어폰을 왜 끼고 있어요?
뭐야 이거
아무것도
이게 맞다고
Year one, you can tell they're close brothers already. That's a sign of people who are close. They're able to tease each other, push each other's buttons, and it's still all love at the end of the day. You know, that's how rapport is built a lot of the time as well, on pushing boundaries and teasing. And this is my way of sort of showing affection to you. So you see that right from the get-go with these guys. Jin being sort of a big factor in that as well, kind of coming at Suga. And as we know, that's a big part of how Jin shows his love and affection too.
아 자기 허벅지를 그렇게 만지는구나. 자기가.
아니
너야?
뭐야? 아니 이 친구
해명은 좀 이따 해명의 시간을 가지자. 일단 롤링페이퍼.
Yoongi doesn't have to project his voice loudly in order to command the attention in the space, in the room. And I think it's in his tone. There's no questioning himself in his tone. The volume doesn't necessarily have to be high. He's not yelling at anyone.
해명은 좀 이따 해명의 시간을 가지자. 일단
I think he'd be a great candidate as leader of this group too. I mean, obviously RM's the man. You know how much I love RM. And RM is the guy who should be leading the group. But Suga can definitely lead the way in these types of situations. There's no question about it.
갈매기
왠지 이거 그림 잘 그린 애가 그랬을 것 같아.
총빵빵. 야, 그래도 저를 딱 표현해 줬어요.
희망?
왠지 지민이 같다. 이거.
맞아요.
Yeah, Hobie's very camera aware. Very, very camera aware.
그리고 되게 감동적인 거 많으니까요. 한번 천천히 읽어보는 것도 좋을 것 같고요.
Yeah, Jimin seems to be quite focused on J-Hope too. I think Jimin seems to be quite drawn to J-Hope here. So I don't know if they've always been super close, but I think Jimin speaks more when the guys are one-on-one. Like, I think his presence is felt a little bit more strongly in a smaller group. But, you know, he's particularly quiet here so far.
그다음 진영 한번 읽어볼까요?
저요. 네 여기 간단한 거 하나 있네요.
네.
And there's still a lightness to Jimin. I still think, like I've said, he carries himself with a certain grace, and you often see him kind of smiling silently. But here, there's almost like a goofier, mischievous energy to him that I'm detecting, and just kind of looking to bond with Hobie over here, and looking to kind of create connections with him. But Jimin looks happy, you know. He looks like he's just having fun.
잘생긴 거 알면 곤란해.
Jin, it's too much if you know you were handsome.
본인 수가 아니에요.
저안 썼어요.
And then Rat Monster said it wasn't that funny.
골랐을까?
Okay, anyways.
아니 그 이유가 두 개 중에 한 개 고른 게 그거예요.
노랬을까?
노랬네.
요즘 얼굴에 대한 자신감이 커졌어.
맞아요.
불러줘야 돼, 아저씨.
기다려요.
I love it. I love how it's been a thing with Jin since the beginning. A running joke with Jin since the beginning. The handsome thing. You know, just kind of like bringing that attention to himself. It's hilarious. But it also gives the other guys something to laugh at too.
자신감이 커졌어. 불러줘야 돼, 아저씨.
It gives them an opportunity to make fun of him. Now I think it's more like they play into the joke and they like agree with him. But perhaps back then it was more of them like sort of like challenging him and coming down on him for it. The humor here is an arrogant humor, right? He's not actually being arrogant, he's pretending to be. It allows him to sort of be the punching bag in a way,
자신감이 커졌어. 불러줘야 돼, 아저씨.
기다려요.
right? So he's sort of like alley-ooping the other guys. He's setting the other guys up to kind of make fun of him, and that's cool too, right? Like he's not taking himself too seriously there, and he's okay with being made fun of. He's creating and he's contributing to the banter.
야, 송극센.
이거.
네, 댄스 선생님의 심부름을 도맡아서 하고 있네.
네, 제가 매니저 역할 하고 있어요. 송극센.
이거 정말 잠깐만요 쌤 너무 이거 편애가 이거 너무
네.
극심한 거
네,
아니에요?
맞아. 사람 좀 데려가요.
화장실 좀 다녀와!
휴 와요, 휴.
화장실!
저도 화장실이에요, 똑같은 거.
제가 화장실밖에 안 돼요?
저도
쌤한테?
화장실인가요?
주는 친구들 너무 예뻐해주고
저도 화장실이에요.
항상 큰 힘이 되는 정팀장 예!
내 매니저 한국 매니저는
저도 인턴 시켜주세요 인턴!
야 조용히 해. 나 한 글자.
88만 원 세대입니다.
조용히 해. 나 한 글자.
네,
RM's hilarious, man. I haven't seen this side of RM too much. He's absolutely hilarious, like especially in these younger years, huh?
화장실!
저도
그래서 제가 슈디의 특별한 권한으로
권한으로
여기서
안에
멋진 외모 순위
우리
서열 한번 지민이가
시원하게
한번
하자.
시원하게 한번 정해보도록
방탄의 상남자, 부산의
네.
쿨가이.
하늘 한번 풀어보세요.
외모
잘
서열을
생각하시고,
제가 얘기하면 되는 거예요?
네.
제가 그러면
2위부터 말씀.
제가
2위.
적은 걸
미쳤나 봐.
그대로 얘기할게요.
내가 진짜
미쳤나봐 진짜.
앉으시오.
I guess J-Hope did some like Eggio, did some cute, charmy stuff, and Ratmon and V didn't like that. Although I'm sure there was, you know, obviously they were joking to a degree, but maybe that was sort of like a part of the BTS culture from the beginning. Like, hey, we're not really down with cutesy, charmy, Eggio kind of stuff. Although there's nothing wrong with the Eggio stuff necessarily, it can take away from that image that we want to portray, which is, you know, honesty and authenticity.
해보고 싶습니다.
네.
어떤 서열 해보고 싶으시죠?
춤사를
Interesting.
춤서열이요?
아, 너무 뻔한 거 아니에요?
방탄의 춤은 제가 지배하고 있기 때문에 제가 해봐야 했거든요. 자,
투망.
저
한번
과장입니다.
했어요, 시원하게.
2위
네.
전정국이.
2위가 전국이에요?
그렇죠. 센터잖아요.
3위.
3위.
Yeah, J-Hope and Jimin are looking at each other. Okay, if JK's in second place, who's going to be in third between me and Hobie?
5위. 5위.
5인 2명이에요.
네. 누가요?
아, 너 정한 수가이죠 당연히.
그럼 자연스럽게 7위는 진영이 되는 거예요?
아, 뭐 이건 뭐 굳이 뭐 말씀 안 드려도.
아, 뭐
양심이 없네, 지금.
쿨하게 인정하기 때문에 뭐 그런 개의치
저는
않습니다.
아니 갑자기 약간 빈정사는 게 제가 왜 레몬스터랑 동급을
Because like I'm better than
형이
Ratmon.
일단 저희 둘한테 묻혀서 너무 거품이 많이 꼈어요.
아니 솔직히 아니
거품이 너무 심해. 솔직히 비슷해요.
아니 솔직히
네.
제가 굉장히 춤추는 걸 싫어하는데 그래서 출 때는 잘 춘단 말이죠.
잘 춘다고요?
No, it's interesting how this ranking system exists, and although they're just kind of having fun with it, there's obviously a reality to it, right? So perhaps this kind of keeps them motivated. Perhaps this type of thing keeps them sharp. Perhaps this is something that Big Hit implemented for them to stay on top of their game.
진영이 났냐?
좀 궁금하다.
뭐 진짜 솔직히
물어봤습니다.
안무쌤 뭐래요?
예?
약간,
당한 거죠.
약간 엄마가 좋냐, 아빠가 좋냐라는 그런 질문인 것 같다고.
그러면
오케이.
엄마 줘요, 아빠 줘요?
저요? 저 누구나 좋죠.
아니 엄마가 좋냐고요. 아빠.
Yeah, so they know their place, right? So Jin and RM know, okay, it's all good. We know we're not the strongest dancers here. We can handle it because we know we all have our strengths. We all know we deserve to be here. And yeah, maybe this is just part of what contributes to their bond overall, right? This honesty. It's like this sort of radical honesty. It just allows them to trust that they can say anything around one another. And although there might be some, at times, harsh realities that we're speaking of, at least we can speak amongst each other freely, openly, and honestly. And at the end of the day, we know that we all bring our own sort of unique gifts to the table here. So it's all good. So perhaps this actually brings them closer, these types of activities.
그래서 레몬이랑 진영
아니,
좋아요.
아니 딱만 해봐요.
딱 카메라를 보고 아니 잠깐만 이게 어떻게 둘 다 좋을 수 있어요? 당연히 저죠 이거.
맞아.
저요?
아니 이거 좀 이상한
나의 정말
질문이네.
객관적인 시각으로 봐도 레몬이가 좀 더 나은 것 같아요.
그래요. 잠깐
야
카메라 꺼주세요.
역시 슈티의 냉철한 판단이죠.
I wonder, you know, if him and Yoongi's relationship, RM and Yoongi's relationship has changed over the years. Now it's like they're so comfortable with each other, they don't even really look at each other half the time. They don't acknowledge each other, they're so comfortable. But maybe it was a little different in 2014. Maybe there was a little bit of like more obvious competitiveness from a brotherly standpoint. There was a little bit more obvious bonding. That's sort of what I'm noticing and sensing between these two.
첫 무대 때부터 한층 더 심해진 표정과 끼를 부리며 자기가 즐긴다는 겁니다. 심지어 연습실에서 갑자기 위통을 벗으며
호식이야, 좀 잘하냐? 나 잘하냐?
라며 강한 사투리 억양과 함께 이런 말을 듣고 있자면 참 할 말이 없습니다. 그렇게 모험 까는 것을
Yeah, I think RM's like lets himself get loose and silly, but he collects himself quickly. Like he sort of has to be aware. He can't fully always just kind of get into goofing off mode. But you can tell he's still letting himself go there. So it's like sort of like a controlled goofiness, it feels like. That's where that maturity comes in. He's able to collect himself, and he's still able to contribute and watch in this mature way and kind of like put people in their place at times. And you know, you can see the awareness from RM even back in 2014.
라라라라라 니꺼이 뭐냐? 니꺼이 뭐냐?
아니 네.
화났어요?
변태야.
기분 안 좋은 것 같아요.
내가 봤을 때
변태.
얘는 기억이 나는데 예전에는 진짜 부끄러워서 막 복근도 막 못 가고
그러니까요.
아니 저한테 따로 그 와서 상담했었어요.
나한테도
진짜
있어.
복근을 깔아주는 거 어떻게 하냐고.
아 여기 내가 얼마 전에 막 연습실에서 봤는데 이게 갑자기 우통을 태극전서 골만 넣은 거 말이야. 이렇게 까고 막 이렇게
뭐 하는 거야?
왜 이러냐?
저질.
And it's also just cool to see how much the younger guys really respect everyone, like especially JK and V. Like V more here in this conversation, what I'm noticing is like a deference and appreciation and a certain like amusement that he has for his brothers here. JK too. At this point already, it feels like they've got like a real sort of solid foundation of love and respect. So I think that's been a part of their culture and environment since the get-go, since the beginning. They all want to be there.
그죠? 야 장난 아니야.
There you go. There you go.
태극전사.
여러분들 오해하시나 본데
I think RM really gets a kick out of Suga in particular being made fun of and teased, you know? I think a lot of the guys do. I think because he gives off the image that he really doesn't give a shit, that's why it's funnier to make fun of him, because he does care a bit.
본인도 웃겨.
급하겠네.
아니 정장 잠옷이 아니라는 게.
경주사 때.
근데 이거 누가 썼을까? 저 맞춰볼래요.
I love how RM's kind of getting on top of him. They've got a good thing going. I like the relationship between RM and Suga at this point in their lives. It's just a healthy brotherhood. And I think these guys not only help sharpen each other's skills, but I think they probably help keep each other grounded and humble to a degree as well. RM's real with Suga, and Suga's real with RM.
라고 말하고는 슈가 형은 자기 침대로 들어가고 대답 후 정확히 5분 후 호비가 그의 노트북과 함께 대자로 뻗어 침대 위에서 지나갔었습니다.
정확하게 5분이었어요.
That's an amazing
저는
story.
슈가에게 저거 부르며 손가락질을 했고 모두가 빵 터졌습니다. 심지어
호박. 야 안 씻냐? 야 좀 씻어. 너 씻는다며.
라고 흔들어 깨웠으나 곤히 잠이 들어버린 제요. 여러분 호비가 춤 연습하고 땀 엄청 났는데 안 씻고 자는 그런 형입니다.
Nice.
깔끔한 거다
See, I love the
컨셉이에요.
teasing.
아니 진짜 이게 진짜 어땠냐면
See, like there's an environment that is created where they can do this and they can say this to each other. I love that, right? Even JK, the youngest, can say it to, you know, a Hobie, who's one of the older guys in the group. So I think that's a big part of why their connections are so solid and so strong. The boundaries of teasing are very flexible. And that's sort of been the kind of theme in this festa. It's almost like there's more making fun of each other than complimenting each other. Like this was sort of their way of bonding back then. They seem to love it. It's hilarious. This is like part of the fiery youthfulness that we're seeing in 2014.
이게 희망적이고 밝은 기운을 주다 못해 과하다고 생각이 들 정도로 잘 웃고 긍정적인 사람이라 가끔은 정말로 대단하고 훌륭한 그런 멤버인 것 같다. 네. 팬 여러분들은 순수하고 착한 우리 호석이 우리 호석이라고 생각을 하시겠지만 사실은 정말 잘 웃으면서 동생을 잘 괴롭히는 악마 같은 모습이 있다. 진짜 웃으면서 막
내가 사실
장난을
목격하지.
웃으면서 막 장난.
And JK was a little shit back then, huh? He was a little bit of a shit, you know? He's silently adding on to the insults and the criticism.
동생을 잘 괴롭히는 악마 같은 모습이 있다.
진짜.
웃으면서 막
내가 사실
장난을
목격하지.
웃으면서 막
There's an innocence about it because it's so clear that he appreciates the other guys. So in a sense, he can kind of get away with it, I feel like. I mean, he's charming in general, but I think because, you know, there's a softness to him here. There's a softness about him. And he doesn't seem to like take the lead on the insults. He just sort of like, he's the sidekick insulter. He adds on to the punishment. It's kind of charming because it's like sly.
소심한 제이홉은 3초 만에 방으로 들어와서 막 껴안으면서 찌민이 김정태 정색한 거야? 그런 거야? 아니지 아닌 거지 하면서 하하 웃으면서 10초 만에 나갔다.
재밌다.
10초 만에 나갔대요. 이 형을 어떻게 해야 될까요?
잠깐만요. 제이홉 어떻게 된 거예요?
와 이거
어떻게 해야 되나요?
동생들 괴롭히는
아니에요.
희망이
여러분
아닌데,
앞에서는
이게?
희망이라고 하죠.
아닙니다, 여러분. 제이홉 씨가 생각하기에는 누가 쓴 것 같아요? 이거요? 173 어떤 분이 쓰셨겠죠, 뭐. 제 옆에 좀 밝은 분이 한 명 있어요. 아우, 뭐.
옐로 카드?
옐로우
옐로 카드 드릴게요.
Jimin and Hobie definitely have like a bickering thing going on. They definitely have their own sort of bond, special thing going on. And V just in general seems a lot more present, although he's not speaking a lot. In this particular festa, he just seems a lot more present to me. Like he's just like listening more and like more engaged in the conversation. Like he's more overtly present and kind of like obviously appreciative of everyone and what's going on. You know, I don't see him retreating into his head like I've seen more in recent videos. And there's definitely a different energy around V here. Like he's got a real good humor about him. He's just cracking up, having a good time. And JK is just sitting beside him, like watching, having a good time. Like Jungkook looks really comfortable here. Very, very, very comfortable. JK's like never in your face. Like he's not ever invasive. Like, you know, he's still got that comfort about him here. He's still got a confidence about him here. And he's teasing, right? I think there's a confidence that comes with being able to tease other guys, especially when you're the youngest guy. The thing is with him, he's not like hesitant. He doesn't seem reluctant to contribute, JK. That's just not his nature to contribute first necessarily. I don't think that's his nature. But he's not reluctant to do so. I think he likes watching and admiring and appreciating and throwing in a little jab here and there. And he's cool in that role.
레드 카드요. 죄송해요.
궁금한 게 있는데 만약에 나나 슈가가 이야 이러면 어떡할 거야?
레드 카드요? 그래요, 이거예요.
옐로 카드 없어요.
자, 그럼 다음 사연 한번 읽어볼까요? 네, 그렇습니다. 자, 제가 한번 읽어볼게요.
If you really watch JK and V, they're really in appreciation mode. They're really like almost smitten by their BTS brothers over here. Like they're impressed with them, they're impressed with their wit, they're impressed with their humor. Like they think they're cool, like a younger brother would think their older brother. Like they think they're cool. That's the vibe I'm getting. It's like JK and V are with their cool older brothers. That's got to mean a lot to the older guys in the group. I'm sure they sense that. It's got to feel good as a big brother, and it motivates you to want to give back in a good way to your little brother. He appreciates me. I want to show him love.
몬스터는 되게 멋있고 능력 있는 그런 리더라고 생각하시겠죠?
사실이죠.
물론 맞습니다. 하지만 그런
So they knew each other's weaknesses from the beginning.
잘 까먹고 망가뜨리고 그 수준이 랩몬스터에 대해 방송이나 인터뷰 때 말하는 것보다 더 심하답니다. 진짜요? 네, 방송용으로 자기 물건 안 치거나 주위 물건을 잘 망가뜨린다는 정도로만 말했지만
사실이죠.
네.
This is what I'm surprised with, like how close they were even in 2014 after a year, and how well they seem to know each other. So because they know each other really well, they're able to tease each other about each other's quote-unquote weaknesses. Just sort of like a great exercise in communication and bonding. It's demonstrating to each other how well they know each other.
2달이 지났어요.
정기하는데요. 바로 가자. 갑자기 나는 아니지.
솔직히 제가 2달 전에 형한테 말했어요.
한달 반?
일주 지나고 형한테
한 달 반.
50일로 할게요.
네,
네, 50일.
일주 지나고 형한테 말했어요. 형 제 이어폰 어디 있어요? 했는데
어딨지?
아 너무 재밌나?
그 있잖아요. 그 다 알고 있는데 연기하는 거 알죠?
네.
어디 있지?
아니 일단 형이 찾아볼게.
연기가 안 돼. 저 연기 얼마나 못하는데.
아니 일단 형이 찾아볼게.
그래서 티가 난다. 그래서
아,
티가
연기
난다는
어떻게
거야.
한다고요?
변명할게요.
네, 일단
That was a really smart, quick comment from Jin, huh?
저 연기 얼마나 못하는데.
아니 일단 형이 찾아볼게.
그래서 티가 난다.
RM goes, I'm terrible at acting. And Jin goes, yeah, that's why everyone knows. That's why everyone knows you're faking it, because you're terrible at it. That was quick, man. Jin's listening. He's ready for those one-liners and those zingers. And that was great. I like how V contributed there too, right? Now, V can tell a good story. And we saw it here, right? He had everyone's attention.
뭐였지?
There was about a 3-second pause where there was silence. I think that was the longest silence in this whole conversation. And V had their attention in that moment. Now, he tells a really good story because he tells it from his heart.
제가 저 비가 찾기 한 이틀 전인가 제 침대 밑에서 찾았어요. 봤는데 있길래 이거 뭐지? 내가 이어폰 옛날에 내 건 줄 알고 내가 미리 쓰려고 숨겨놨나 보다 하고 들었는데 마침 그걸 비가 본 거여서 그거 형 제 건데요. 해서 그래? 하고 준 거.
어차피 여러분들
이름을 써놔 이름을.
여러분들 어차피
이어폰에도 이름 써줘야 돼.
그거 이름 쓰고 그런 거는 노래 한 곡 듣고 그때 이야기 하세요. 네, 다음 노래 뭐죠, 옥군?
Suga's got such a good nature about him here too. Like he's really a lot less serious that I've seen him in other festas, and just seems very, very light here. It's almost like Suga's come full circle. You know, there was a period of time where he got more serious, and although he still does to an extent because he is a serious guy. I think he's sort of like recaptured that youthfulness that I'm sort of seeing here in 2014.
깊고 진한 흑설탕의 단맛 BTS 흑슈가
I mean, seeing Yoongi happy is such a treat. He presents how he feels, right? So he doesn't act in a way to get a reaction from anyone. Like if he's feeling a certain way, you're gonna know. It's so charming when he's happy. There's two like distinct Yoongi smiles for me. There's the kind of like embarrassed smile when someone pays him a compliment, and then there's the smile of mischief when he knows he's gotten through to someone.
본인은 지민군을 참 귀엽고 예뻐하시던데 그럼 혹시 딱밤도 맞아줄 의향 있으신지?
아니요. 싫어할게요, 차라리.
2013년도에 가장 화났던 일은? 안무 과장으로 박 과장, 대리로는 비대리 꼭대리가 있다. 그 다음 안무 인턴으로 인정한 사람은?
야, 나야! 나 왔어!
Yeah, Jin definitely doesn't need to be front and center. I don't think he's ever needed to be front and center. He can be the most entertaining guy in the room, but he doesn't need to be. You know, in these big group situations, even back then, it feels like he's just kind of like waiting for his spot. If he feels like his humor, he wants to get a joke or a one-liner in there, you know, he'll throw it in there when necessary. But again, he doesn't force himself, doesn't overextend himself.
하품하면서 왜 자꾸 이상한 비명을 지르는 건지.
나도 몰라요.
리더로서 제일 힘든 멤버는?
네, 좀 더 얘기하고요.
잃어버린 것 중에 제일 아까운 것은?
1.
핸드폰.
때려!
하나만 바꿔서 살아보고 싶은 멤버는?
1, 2.
슈가.
왜?
Wow.
태고 싶은 멤버를 슈가로 봤는데.
왜요?
이건 중간에 정신세계가 되게 궁금해.
아니 형이 이분이 된다고 이분이 된다고 갑자기 정신세계가 막 알게 되고
박지민 씨 조용히 해주세요. 네.
멜로 카드.
That's funny. And RM really admires Suga, doesn't he? He's always admired him. And just that answer, I think, was telling, but just the way he's been looking at him, and I think he looks up to him. I think he finds him interesting, strong, probably. That's the feeling I get. I think RM looks up to Suga, and I'm sure Suga looks up to RM in a different way. I'm sure Suga appreciates RM for the skills that he has. I love it.
틀리면 너가 때려.
고맙다 야
소원이 그거잖아.
준비. 시작.
솔직히 내가 리더하면 더 잘할 것 같다.
아니요.
Suga had a chance to kind of take a shot at RM there, but again, these guys know each other's boundaries. At the end of the day, that's where you see where that respect really lies. Like at the end of the day, as much as Suga and RM seem to be getting on each other here, you can tell there's this really sort of deep respect. And I think they test each other a lot. And that's like their brotherly competitiveness, but there's just a lot of mutual respect there.
저희 데뷔 때부터 1주년까지 저희 계속 응원해주고 좋아해 주셔서 정말 감사드리고요.
네.
앞으로도 잘 부탁드리겠습니다.
그래 잘 부탁드려.
We'll do our best.
저는 1주년이잖아요. 되게
Let me look at JK. Let me give him a good look.
주셔서 정말 감사드리고요.
네.
앞으로도 잘 부탁드리겠습니다.
He's humble, right? JK is humble. I think like when he looks at ARMY, it's like he's really looking at the entire fan base almost, right? It's not just like a hole in a camera. It's like he's speaking to someone. Maybe that's part of why he's shy. He's like humbled by it all. It's so big. Who wouldn't be shy when you're addressing, hundreds of thousands of people, now millions of people, right? It's like a big thing. It's a big deal. There's a lot. It's overwhelming. So it's almost like I sense that JK kind of really feels the audience there.
편한 날짜라고 생각해요. 1년이라는 날짜는. 근데 이 어중간한 게 이제 2년이 되고
Yes.
5년이 되고 7년이 되고 10년이 되고 또 15년, 20년이 되고
Yes.
정말 어마어마한 숫자가 될 거라고 생각을 하거든요. 그 어마어마한 숫자가 될 때까지 저희 우리 방탄소년단 7명 그리고 아미 분들 다 같이 10년, 20년 정말 어마어마한 팬, 어마어마한 가수가 되길 정말 기원하고.
And when Suga speaks, we listen. So there's a lot of weight behind his words. And when you hear that as an audience, you feel kind of safe in knowing that these guys will be around here for a long time.
이게 이제 1년이란 시간이 지났는데
네.
이게 항상 저희가 옆에 있어주는 게 아닌데 매일같이 이렇게 응원해주고 이렇게 사랑을 해주시는 게 쉬운 일이 아니거든요. 맨날 이렇게 지켜봐 주시는 게 너무 감사드리고 이게 항상 옆에 있어주지 못해서 죄송할 때가 많지만 앞으로 더 많은 사랑을 나눴으면 좋겠습니다.
What did we say before about Jimin? He makes it a priority for others to feel good. That was an empathetic call out to ARMY. And I think RM actually in that moment recognized that Jimin was doing that. He put his head down and I think he was thinking, all right, good on Jimin for saying that, not leaving anyone behind. That's sort of the idea with Jimin, like not letting anyone feel left out or behind and making them feel seen, right? Really making them feel seen. Guys, I'm gonna end it there for YouTube. If you want to watch my full uncut reaction and analysis, all you need to do is go to my Patreon page. I've included the link in my description below. You can watch the remainder of Festa 2014 with me uncut, along with the entire reaction and analysis uncut. All right, I appreciate you being here. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.